Hello students, welcome to EPG Pathshala. I am Dr. Jasween Kaur from University Business School, Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar. Today we are going to talk on the module New Service Development from the paper of Services Marketing. So students, let us first of all see what we are going to learn in this module. First point to understand is outlining the framework for development of new service offerings stimulated by both proactive and reactive strategies. Second, the quality of total service offerings and the market support that goes with which are vital. Without an understanding of marketplace, knowledge about customers and knowledge about competitors, it is very unlikely that a new product will be a success. So with these learning objectives, we start with the introduction to this topic. One of the serious challenge service firms face in recent times is new service process development. The development of a new service can lead to better understanding of market's particular requirements, making it easier to spot further opportunities. Customers want new products and competitors do their best to surpass the company. A constructive organization mechanism is necessary to facilitate new service development in service companies on competitive basis. We are discussing new product service development. Now, in understanding new service development, we need to understand what are the various definitions and terminology. So first of all, what is a service? A service can be termed as a new service when it is innovative, created and offered by the company to the world for the first time. Some new services are adaptive replacements. They are used for the improvement versions of the existing service product, either in technology, style, status or performance. So when we talk about new service development, it does not mean that we are introducing a new service. It also means that we can renovate or reinvent or recreate or upgrade our existing service so as to deal with the customers, and innovating or creating or offering to the existing customers the existing service by upgrading in various features will help in building customer image and also survival in competition. Categories of new service. There are many different ways for service provider to innovate. First is style. It represents the simplest form or type of innovation involving no changes in either process or performance. However, they are often highly visible, create excitement, and may serve and to motivate employees. That means, suppose we talk an example of a restaurant. If the restaurant facilities are same, its location is same, its food is same, but only we change the color scheme inside the physical evidence or ambience in the restaurant, so that when the customer comes again in that restaurant to eat food, he will feel that it is refreshed, it is renovated, it is reinvented and creates a newness image in the eyes of the customer. Sometimes we talk about other services. Suppose we talk about a service called banking service. The banks, they are providing the same kind of service, but if they provide additional facility within their service category, whether it's accounts or loans, this gives a feeling to the customer that they are getting something more than the other competitive banks, and of course it creates a positive image in the eyes of the customer. The second
way is major process innovations. That means we are trying to change the process of the service delivery. It consists of using new processes to deliver existing core products in new ways with additional benefits. Now, this situation can occur when the existing service is passing through a stage of failure or decline or saturation due to competition, and they need to redesign their service processes delivery to meet the customer standards. Next is service improvements. It is the most common type of innovation. It involves modest changes in the performance of current products, including improvements to either the core product or providing certain supplementary services. Sometimes we give various add-on facilities to the existing customers who purchase a service for feeling that they are getting service improved. Next is supplementary service innovations. It takes the form of enhancing service elements to an existing core service or of significantly improving an existing service. Next is service line extension. It represents augmentations of existing service line, such as restaurant adding new menu item or a law firm offering additional legal firms or a university adding new course or degree. So the existing firm or existing university can encash on their name and also add on to the new courses so that the students would offer in the new courses in the university because if the university has a reputation. Major service innovations. These are new core products for markets that have been previously defined. For example, retailers adding a coffee bar or a children play area or airlines offering 4 internet services during flights. Now they are the core service. Suppose we talk of retail malls. The core service is having retail stores. But if the retail malls they have cineplexes in them or food courts in them or children play area in them, they are providing service innovations to deal with the customer demand. Similarly, if we talk about internet services or providing phone services or any add-on facilities during transport services like flights or railways, this will build up customer demand. Next is startup businesses. This consists of new services for a market already served by existing products that meet the same generic need. For example, online banking for financial transactions.
Now, let us understand why service development is different from product development, because here we are talking of new service development process. So, the new service development face following unique service disconnects. First, the first characteristic of service is that services are intangible experience. Services are more experiential in nature rather than the product. As a result, it is experiential, and new service development needs a different approach, or at least a modified approach for new service development. Second point, which the service marketer or strategist should keep in mind, is individualized experience. Services mean doing something for someone and not mass producing a product for everyone. The third part is strategic benefits. People normally think services to be enhancement to the perceived real product or offering. Simultaneous product and delivery is the next point we need to understand. Service developers must design and plan for all people and interactions. The service experience is built at each step in the service delivery chain, which includes customer to frontline employees exchanges, customer is to backline and various employees responses, and customer to customer interactions. Services are perishable. Services cannot be returned or resold. They are perishable in nature, so we need to experience the service and exhaust it at the time of its delivery because it cannot be stored for a later stage.
Now we need to understand what are the reasons for development of service, or when we are talking of new service development, why we need to develop a new service. For a service firm to survive in the competitive environment, continuous innovations and new service development are considered necessary. The reasons for introducing new offerings are: first, build recognition as an innovator in the market. Second, provide a new service offering to develop a market. Third, proactive territorial expansion through new or modified offerings at the existing service place. Fourth, defensive actions to challenge competitors. Next, initiate the success of another organization. Next, to take advantage of the technological breakthrough. And to reposition, that is to refit the customer requirements more accurately. The development of new service offerings is stimulated by both proactive and reactive strategies. Although much of the growth in the marketplace relates to imitation and repositioning of the service offerings, those organizations which do have proactive strategies tend to have real commitment and resource base to plan a succession of new service offerings. Sources of new service ideas. Now, there are various sources which the service firms can take ideas for new service development. Now, as we understood, new service development can be changing the overall feature of the service, its process, or it can be redesigning the service or some of the inputs of service to meet the customer demand. So the sources of new service ideas are available from external sources as well as internal sources. Now first we understand what are the external sources. In this first category is customers, which include trade customers, intermediaries, customer feedback, complaints and suggestions. The second external source is competitors. Because of imitation, improvements and enhancements are required to upgrade your services from time to time, because if we introduced a service today, maybe in some few weeks or months or maybe some time, a competition may exist. The competitor may adopt the same features as us, so we need to redesign our service or improve our service or develop our service. Next is specialist. Consultation and market research agencies can be used to take idea for development of service. And lastly, the external source of new service ideas can be from various other sources like through joint ventures or suppliers. The internal sources for this can be: first is research development, that is in-house ongoing research. We have in-house ongoing researches in the service organizations to take inputs from the market and redesign their services. Second internal source is engineering, manufacturing and purchasing, development and operations. The third is marketing, market research, salesperson and customer service. All these people who deal constantly with the customer, that is whether the salespeople or their agencies, can provide various market studies, analysis of previous research and product testing to new service development. Next is management. We can take ideas from seniors management also, and senior management can participate in building ideas for new service development. And lastly, we should not forget employee suggestions and brainstorming sessions with employees, as well as we can have customer meets and take inputs for new service development as an internal source.
Now we are discussing new service development stages. We're talking of different stages which has an 8-stage process for development of service. Service marketers have defined a model of or a process of 8 stage for new service development which are explained in the 8 steps. The first important step to build a new service is idea generation. The main point of idea generation is to find in a structured new ways to service the customer in a very meaningful way, because if the idea is not important, definitely the whole process developed will not be important. An innovative organization conducts a formal search of the market for new service ideas. The ideas may come from management, employees, unsatisfied need of customers, and competitors. When I said unsatisfied need of customers, because the customers, when they take a service from you and they give certain suggestions and feedback, you can use the suggestions and feedback for improving or modifying or upgrading or building a new service. The frontline people in direct contact with customers are involved in service production, and they are critical factor in development of new ideas. The second step is screening of that idea. Many of the ideas might look interesting, but they must be screened and evaluated against the service objectives, the service policy, and the organization's resources. We have to see the viability of that idea before we start with the next level of idea generation. Only a small percentage of idea will survive and are at the initial stage of screening and exercise to assess whether they are sufficiently communicate and important and they can be commercialized to progress. The type of questions asked at this stage by the various people involved in the idea generation relate to potential markets. How the idea fits into existing service offerings and likely level of resources to develop the idea in the screening process. Two types of errors are likely to occur, and these errors are drop errors and go errors. The first error is go error, which occurs when a bad idea is forwarded for further processing. That means the idea was not according to the service policy, the objectives of the organization, and it has been passed and it has been forwarded for processing. It is an error because it will not match the objectives and policy of the organization. The second is the drop error. Drop error means an occur when a good idea is dropped due to improper evaluation. That means the idea was good, it should have been adopted, but what happened? It was dropped because it was not properly evaluated, maybe due to time, maybe due to any other reason. So these two errors must be taken into account when we screen an idea. The third stage is concept development and testing. After the ideas have been evaluated, now we start with development of the concept so that the next stage of new service development takes place. Concept development means the translation of an idea into description form in accurate terms. Concept development is especially difficult for service firm because of the specific characteristic of service. A popularly used technique for development of service concept is service blueprinting. We outline the whole process of service, before the idea is developed into a concept and tested. The service concept developed is tested by presenting the concept to target customers, maybe at a small level, maybe at a sample of customers, and seeking feedback from them so that once the final process of production of service takes place or implementation of service takes place, the problems or the suggestions of the target customers can be taken into account for its implementation. Besides customers, the concept has to be tested with employees of the organization who are going to be involved in its delivery process so as to assess their understanding, their ability, and their willingness as performing of this service.
We are discussing various stages of new service development. The fourth stage is business analysis. The ideas which appear attractive to the market are then subject to more detailed analysis. This allows the company to assess the market, potential sales, and revenue against development and launch costs. The use of sensitivity costing will be applied at this stage, where a series of adjustments are made to factors such as price, packaging, and customer take-up. On this basis, minimum and maximum revenue potential will be projected. Market competitiveness and the ability of the customer to respond to variations in the demand for new service are to be analyzed. So, business analysis helps managers to rank the screen ideas for new service development. Next stage is service development. During this stage, the organization determines whether it is possible to provide the service at cost that will make the service price attractive to the customer. The elements of the service that will be particularly important to the customer must be identified at this stage. This is also the stage at which promotion, distribution, and pricing strategies are to be developed, because we are developing a new service. So, how we have to promote and distribute and price that service with features which have been innovated need to be determined to survive in the competition. The development stage involves production of prototype or sample of new offerings also. It is a clear shift from desk work to the execution of the concept. The success of this step represents the efficiency of the management in transforming a theoretical design into practical reality. The next stage is test marketing. To know how the service offer could really provide satisfactory experiences, it is necessary to test it among different group of customers. It is important to test marketing the service before it is launched full scale. Service firms generally invite employees' families and select the customer to know the responses. Usually the organization tries out the new offering in the market. If the offering is tested in more than one geographic market, the different promotional approaches in each market are used to test the relative impact. The test market is definitely time consuming and expensive. As such, there is danger of quick imitation by the competitors. The test market period should be kept minimum. Commercialization. The new service developed is now offered for the sale. At this stage, the service firms have to incur huge costs, particularly in the external market. The major task is to create awareness in the market and persuade the target market to use the service. We need to develop customer demand for our service also. So for this, the consumer education, guidance and training, if necessary, are to be organized to make the customer participate well in the service process. Also to make them perceive the quality of service. So commercialization has to be done effectively. At this stage, the following four decisions are of utmost importance. First, when should the service be offered? Second, where should the service be offered? Third, to whom should the service be offered? Fourth, how should the service be offered? Introducing a new service offering requires heavy involvement by marketing department. Employee incentives and customer premium must be planned and offered for making the service offering launch a success. Last stage in the new service development process is evaluation. This is the final stage in developing a new service offering and involves the use of primary and secondary research to monitor the progress of new service offering in relation to organization goals. No service development plan is complete if it fails to induce a system for monitoring the results of the plan. Effective monitoring enables the service provider to take a remedial action where needed, as well as acquire additional knowledge for successful management of service life cycle.
It will be observed that the first two stages are closely related to overall new service strategy. This strategy enables generation of new idea and basis for their evaluation. Whereas next three stages deal with ideas and as such are the least expensive. Many service offerings fail because the idea or limiting is wrong. The timing and idea, if it is wrong, can lead to error in service offering. These three stages are helpful in identification of such a situation. The subsequent stages are costly because they require more rupees and more human resources to implement them. This service, by virtue of having a shorter life cycle as compared to product, needs a more dynamic and flexible approach to suit the distinctive circumstances and characteristics of the service.
So as we discussed that service development is different from product development. So we need to understand various strategies which can be used for achieving success in the new service development. There are the three factors which contribute most to success in their order of importance. First of all, achieve success in new service development. The first factor is market synergy. The new product fit well with the existing image of the firm, provided a superior advantage to competing products in terms of meeting customer known needs. So if the service meets the expectation of the customers and the customer feels a superior advantage to its competitors, definitely the service is going to survive. Second, the organizational factors. There was strong interpersonal cooperation and coordination. Development personnel were fully aware of the importance of the new product to the company. So, if we need to develop a new service, the employees, the people involved in the development of the service, they should be educated well, they should be trained well, and they should be motivated well. So, all these components of internal marketing needs to be effective for effective interaction marketing. At the interactive stage, it is the employee, the service provider, the contact employee is going to deal with the customer. And if a new service is developed, it is the employee who is going to build the image in the eyes of the customer. If the employee is or the service provider or the interfacing employee.
So, students, let us now summarize what we have learned in this module. For service firm to survive in the competitive environment, it continuous innovations and new service development are considered necessary. A service can be termed as a new service when it is innovative and created and offered by the company to the world for the first time. New service ideas are, are available from internal as well as external sources. The development of new services is stimulated by both proactive and reactive strategies. So, services leading marketers have cited 8-stage process for service development as we discussed, and it is important to follow it so that a new service can be commercialized and brought to the satisfaction of the customer. Thank you.